Welcome to the Sales Influence Podcast, where we talk about finding the why in how people buy. I'm your host, Victor Antonio. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for lending me your ears. Today, I want to talk about a crime I see committed often during a presentation. And that crime specifically is when a salesperson gets to that one slide where they show all the logos of all the companies that they've worked with. Have you seen that slide? Because I've seen that slide. You know, they talk about their company, who they are. They talk about their vision statement. They talk about how long they've been in the market. They'll talk about the products they offer and services. They'll talk about all their, points of presence globally where they're at. And then they bring out the big boom slide, which is the big logo, the slide with all the logos on it. Now, that is a very amateurish way of presenting your capabilities and your relationship to clients you're working with, because it's so easy to throw up 50 logos onto a slide. The problem is that the customer might go, you know what? First of all, that slide's overwhelming. Two, I can't relate to any of those companies. So that's one big mistake with showing a lot of logos. That's crime number one. Crime number two is I've seen people maybe pick three of their top customers that they work with, big names. They'll just pick some big names. I don't know, like Walmart, Target, or some other big name, Sony, to name another, right? But again, the problem is that the client can't relate. The client says, well, we're not them, and that really doesn't mean anything. They can't relate. They can't empathize with those logos. Now, the next level would be, option number three, would be so you got multiple logos, you narrow it down to 3 logos, big companies just to try to impress them. That doesn't work. But maybe then the answer is to show them logos of companies that are similar in size and scope, and it may be in their industry, not competitors, but companies that are similar in size and scope within their vertical. And now, instead of showing them the logos, which you're going to do, show them 3 logos, you're going to go one step further. You're going to ask them to pick one. I said, here are 3 different companies, all very similar to your business in scope, size, vertical, market, whatever it may be. I said, which one of these would you like me to really dive into and give you a case study examination of what they're doing? Now, here's what you've done. You've established credibility by putting up 3 logos that probably they're familiar with. But now you've engaged them. You've asked them, which one of these, you've handed over control, which one of these would you like me to talk about that you're most interested in? Now the customer leans forward a little bit. You can almost feel the leaning forward. And the customer says, the one in the middle, B. Talk about B. And now you get into talking about B. Now notice, you gave the customer control. Customer selected B, which means they're going to be more interested in what you have to say. And as you're going through the presentation, you're going to highlight the value you brought to that company and what the end results were. Now, several things are going to happen in this dynamic. 1, we've talked about you've engaged the customer. 2, they chose, so they feel in control of the presentation, like they're contributing. Now, 3, you're showing them data that they can relate to and say, yeah, they're similar like us. They're similar in scope, similar in size. In our vertical, this makes sense. And all of a sudden, just by taking that approach versus putting 30, 40, 50 logos on a screen or 3 that don't relate to them because they're too big, they're out of their space, so to speak, you've now have them in a conversation where you're talking about a company that you helped that they can relate to. At this point, you're going to have real conversations. You've gone from trying to show off with your logos to now having a real conversation, one that is context-based. You can contextualize this conversation by saying, here's what they did, here's what you can do, here's where they pivoted, here's how you can pivot it, here were their concerns, and I'm sure these are the same concerns you have, here's how they overcame them, and here's how you're going to overcome them. Now you're having a real conversation with your prospect. So keep this in mind. Blasting a bunch of logos on the screen, bad idea. Putting up big, iconic names of large companies, bad idea, especially if it doesn't relate to, let's say, a small, medium-sized business. But picking somebody in their vertical and then talking about them and what they did, doing a before and after, here's where they were, here's where they're at now, is a much more powerful pitch when it comes to showing your clients and who you've worked with. Try that and let me know what you think. Leave me some feedback on iTunes, Stitcher, YouTube, Pandora, Spotify, or wherever you're listening. And after you do that, you know the deal. Go to the Sales Velocity Academy. I'm super excited. We got more courses to help you sell more faster. Go to salesvelocityacademy.com. That's salesvelocityacademy.com. And on that note, this is Victor Antonio, always reminding you, selenate hard when you know how. Take care. Hi, I'm Victor Antonio. I'm an author, sales trainer, and keynote speaker. I'm often asked, what makes a great speaker? Is it someone who delivers real content that the audience can use? Is it someone who engages the audience so they're part of the learning experience? Or is it someone who can motivate an audience to push them beyond their comfort zone and discover new abilities? The answer is yes. But the most important thing to remember is that I'm not there to look good. I'm there to make my client look good. Simply put, it's never about me, and it's always about them.